Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson with 13 News Now. Here's your tropics update as of August 5th, right around 8 a.m. Hurricane Debby made landfall this morning around 7 a.m., but this is the 8 a.m. advisory from the Hurricane Center. The location of Debby about 60 miles northwest of Cedar Key, Florida. Sustained winds now down to 75 miles an hour after the max sustained winds earlier today were around 80. But we're still seeing that movement up to 10 miles an hour heading to the northeast. And this system could potentially bring some really bad flooding impacts for the southeast. Here is that tropical satellite. As you see, a lot of the big thunderstorms really centered around the Big Bend of Florida, getting closer to the Florida-Georgia border. And this, again, this system bringing storm surge up to about 6 to possibly 10 feet. We're talking some rain and some accumulations up to almost a foot or more. And we are talking gusty winds. We had gusty winds this morning up to 100 miles per hour. Again, sustained winds now up to 75. So hurricane warning still in effect for a lot of that Big Bend of Florida, but tropical storm warnings and watches extending into parts of central Georgia, and those tropical storm warnings getting now into Charleston and the South Carolina coast. Now, there's going to be a big impact with a system from the north. This will help to steer Debby and to stall it out just for a little bit. So we have these fronts in the area that will help keep it in the southeast. So here's a track of Debby. Again, still a Category 1 hurricane, but weakening into a tropical storm over the next day or so. This is going to stall right near the Carolinas coast. This will bring a lot of flooding impacts for this coastline. So we are watching for the possibility of potentially, quote, historic flooding in parts of Carolina and Georgia. Now, Hampton Roads is in this cone of uncertainty, but the main word in this phrase is uncertainty. That's why the bubble gets so big as we get into parts of the mid-Atlantic. Forecast to become a tropical depression by Saturday morning, but we could still see some impacts here as we get up the I-95 corridor. So through tomorrow morning, extreme flash flooding potential runs from the Big Bend of Florida all the way through Savannah, just south of Charleston. It continues to move north, so Charleston in that zone for extreme flooding heading into your Tuesday through Wednesday morning. And that continues even further up here into Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina by Thursday morning. We are talking flash flooding likely in this dark green area, so parts of the southern and south side to the I-95 corridor and south. This includes the Albemarle Sound and the Outer Banks. In the light green color, still possible, but more likely the further south you live. You already know that Hampton Roads, northeast North Carolina, we are flood prone areas, so even any heavy rainfall could lead to some localized flooding. Let's talk about what the models are saying this system will do. A lot of it bring it right near the Charleston coast and brings it and just stalls out for a little bit. That's why you see those little swirls, really like noodles in spaghetti, but brings it up now the I-95 corridor for a lot of those models. I will say, though, a couple of models do keep it in the southeast for a while and keep it right around the Gulf of Mexico. So not out of the realm of possibility, but a good agreement and a majority of the models keeps it up the East Coast and back out towards the Atlantic. So here's a model comparisons between the European model and the American model. The European model is in the red, American in the yellow. Both keep it around the coastline, but notice how the American model keeps it a little bit further south. The European model brings it closer to the North Carolina, South Carolina border. The European model also keeps this system a little more strong than it does when it comes to the American model, and again, still further north than the American model itself. But both now in better agreement that this system should move straight up the East Coast and back out to sea by the weekend. So if this situation happens here in Hampton Roads, we are talking at least the potential for increased showers and thunderstorms heading into Thursday and through the first half of the weekend. Again, we are only talking talking about 4 named storms through this hurricane season so far. We are still predicted to have an above average season, but we've been through only 4 names. So don't let your guard down. We are watching one area in the tropics just east of the Windward Islands that's forecast to move through parts of the Caribbean over the next week or so and has the potential to develop. But it's your chance to really start to think about hurricane plans. If you are not in that zone of Debby right now, think about what you can prepare for as we get into the rest of hurricane season. Remember, the peak of hurricane season is September 10th, and hurricane season does end on November the 30th. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson.